Warning, the list you are about to hear is written in blood, mostly mine. If I could send a letter back to my past self, it would scream these 10 things. But I can't, so I'm screaming them at you. Listen close. Thing number 1. Politeness gets you killed. I wish I knew that civilization is just a polite agreement to not eat each other. When the grid failed, I waited in line. I said, "Excuse me, that was my first mistake." The science calls it normalcy bias. Your brain refuses to accept the disaster. You think the lights will come back on, so you sit on the couch while the smart ones are stripping the shelves. I wasted the golden hour. The first 60 minutes after the event are crucial. While I was refreshing Twitter, the highways were clogging up. If you aren't moving while others are confused, you are already trapped. I wish I knew that panic isn't running around screaming. Real panic is silence. It's freezing. I stood in my kitchen for 10 minutes, staring at a blender. That freeze response cost me my escape route. You need to be rude. You need to cut the line. You need to ignore the red light. The social contract is void the moment the sirens start. I followed rules that no longer existed. Don't be a rule follower in chaos. Thing number 2. The grocery store is a trap. I thought I could make one last run for supplies. Idiot, everyone had the same idea. I didn't find food, I found a riot. The grocery store is the new gladiator arena. The just-in-time delivery system means stores have 3 days of food. In a panic, that becomes 3 hours. I walked over broken glass for a can of pumpkin pie mix because that was literally all that was left. I wish I knew the triangle of death: gas stations, pharmacies, and grocery stores. Avoid them. These are high-value targets. Predators know you go there. I walked into a choke point and barely got out. Scavenging isn't like the video games. You don't find loot boxes, you find empty shelves and angry people. If you didn't buy it yesterday, you aren't getting it today. Prepping is buying. Scavenging is begging. I learned too late that cash is trash. I tried to pay for water with a $20 bill. The clerk laughed. The credit card machines were dead. If you don't have hard assets or skills, your wallet is just kindling. The dark humor is that I spent years worrying about my credit score. In the apocalypse, my credit score was 0, and my calorie score was negative. The systems we worship vanish instantly. I should have raided the weird places. Pet stores have antibiotics, fish mocks. Office buildings have vending machines. While everyone fought at Walmart, the janitor's closet at the office was full of supplies. I wish I knew that hunger makes you stupid. After missing 3 meals, my IQ dropped. I made bad decisions because my brain was screaming for glucose. You can't outsmart a disaster on an empty stomach. Water is heavy. This hit me like a truck. I found water, but I couldn't carry it. A gallon weighs 8 pounds. I tried to carry 10 gallons. Physics said no. I had to leave life-saving water behind because I was weak. The gray man concept. I failed it. I wore my tactical backpack. I looked like a loot drop. I wish I had looked like a homeless person. Looking capable makes you a target. Looking pathetic makes you invisible. I underestimated the smell. No trash pickup means the city smells like rotting meat in a week. I wish I had stockpiled Vicks VapoRub just to put under my nose so I didn't vomit while scavenging. I relied on my phone, Mystique even without signal. I kept checking it. It was a nervous tick. When the battery died, I felt a phantom limb pain. I realized I was addicted to a black mirror that no longer worked. I wish I knew that community matters more than ammo. I had a gun, but I was alone. A gang of 3 guys with baseball bats beats 1 guy with a Glock who has to sleep eventually. Isolation is suicide. Maps, I didn't have paper maps. I knew my way to work, but I didn't know the backroads to the river. When Google Maps died, I was lost in my own city. The landscape changes when you can't use the highway. I ignored my feet. I wore brand new boots. By day 2, the blisters were bleeding. I was crippled by my own footwear. Break in your boots. Now in the apocalypse, a limp is a dinner bell for predators. I wish I knew how to open a can without an opener. It sounds dumb, but scraping a can on concrete for 20 minutes is loud and exhausting. The little tools matter. I would have traded a gold ring for a P38 opener. The realization that help isn't coming took too long to sink in. I kept looking at the sky for helicopters. There were none. You are the cavalry. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you start surviving. So, thing 1, don't freeze. Thing 2, the store is empty. I learned these the hard way, but the next things on the list. They are about what happens when you finally get out of the city and realize nature hates you. If you think the city was bad, wait until you hear about the water. Thing number 3 is the mistake that almost turned my insides into liquid. You can survive a riot, but you can't survive stupidity. I escaped the city, but I walked right into a trap. Thing number 3, nature is not your friend. It is a serial killer. I wish I knew that clear water is a lie. I drank from a clean stream. 2 days later, I was dying. Just because it looks clear doesn't mean a deer didn't rot in it. Upstream giardia is microscopic. It turned my digestive system into a faucet. I lost more water from sickness than I gained from drinking. It's a cruel irony. Boiling is non-negotiable. I thought I could skip it because I was thirsty. Big mistake. You have to boil for at least a minute. If you don't see bubbles, you are playing Russian roulette with dysentery. I wish I knew that filters can freeze. My expensive ceramic filter cracked in the cold. I didn't know until I used it. It filtered nothing. Keep your filter inside your jacket next to your body heat, or it becomes trash. Thing number 4. Fire is harder than YouTube. I watched tutorials. I thought I could rub 2 sticks together. Try doing that when your hands are numb and the wood is damp. Friction fire is a myth for the unprepared. Lighters are gold. I traded a lighter for a can of beans. I regretted it instantly. Matches get wet. Ferro rods require skill. A Bic lighter is a miracle of engineering. Hoard them like they are diamonds. I underestimated the energy cost of gathering wood. You need a truckload of wood to survive one night. I spent 4 hours gathering and burned 1,000 calories. If the fire doesn't start, you just starved yourself for nothing. Cotton balls and Vaseline. I wish I had them. They catch a spark instantly. Trying to light wet leaves with a spark is impossible. You need tinder from home. Fire starting begins before you leave the house. Thing number 5. The ground sucks. Literally, conduction heat loss is a killer. I slept on the ground in a sleeping bag. The earth sucked the heat right out of me. I woke up hypothermic in a rated bag. You need a barrier. Cardboard, leaves, pine boughs, anything between you and the dirt. The rule is, 1 blanket underneath is worth 2 on top. I learned this while shivering uncontrollably at 3 a.m. I wish I knew about the umbles, stumbles, mumbles, fumbles. These are the signs of hypothermia. When I couldn't zip my jacket, I thought I was just tired. No, I was dying. Recognize the signs or freeze. Shelter building takes too long. Reality shows lie. Building a debris hut takes 4 hours. Darkness falls in 1 hour. If you don't have a tarp, you are exposed. A cheap tarp is better than a fantasy cabin. Moisture is the enemy. Sweat kills. I hiked too fast, sweated in my coat, and then stopped. The sweat froze. I was wearing an ice suit. You have to strip layers before you sweat. Be bold. Start cold. I underestimated the bugs in the summer. Mosquitoes can drain your sanity. I couldn't sleep for 3 days because of the buzzing. Sleep deprivation led to hallucinations. A bug net weighs nothing. Bring one. I wish I knew that nature is loud. I expected silence. But the woods at night are terrifying. Twigs snapping, owls screeching. My imagination turned every squirrel into a raider. Fear burns calories too. I learned that waterproof gear eventually waits out. There is no such thing as dry in a week-long storm. You have to embrace the damp. Rot becomes a concern. My skin started to peel. Keep one set of clothes dry forever. Navigation without GPS is hard. I tried to follow a creek. It led to a swamp. I lost a day backtracking. Landmarks look different when you are stressed. I wish I had practiced land nav with a compass. Wild edibles are a gamble. I ate berries I thought I recognized. I spent the next 12 hours vomiting. Unless you are 100% sure, don't eat it. Starvation takes weeks. Poison takes hours. I wish I knew that leave no trace is for camping, not survival. In survival, you leave a trail for yourself. I got turned around and couldn't find my own camp. Mark your path. Blaze the trees. The darkness is absolute. In the city, there is always light. In the woods, you can't see your hand in front of your face. I tripped and almost broke my ankle. Without a flashlight, you are paralyzed at sunset. I underestimated the loneliness. Nature is indifferent. It doesn't care if you live or die. That silence weighs on you. I started talking to trees. You have to guard your mind against the void. Hygiene in the wild is hard. I didn't wash. I got a rash. The rash got infected. Minor issues become major medical events. Wash your pits and bits, even if the water is cold. I wish I knew that just because I have a gun doesn't mean I can hunt. I saw a deer. I missed hunting as a skill, not a gadget. If you haven't practiced, you are just a vegan with a loud noisemaker. So, thing 3, water kills. Thing 4, fire fails. Thing 5, the ground bites. I survived the woods, but my body was falling apart. That brings us to the internal threats. The things happening under your skin. Thing number 6 is about the microscopic war. You think you're tough. Wait until a toothache brings you to your knees. The next section is about pain, and why you aren't ready for it. Thing number 6, your body is a rental with an expiration date. I wish I knew that without modern maintenance the machine breaks down fast. I ignored a small toothache. 2 weeks later, my face was swollen shut. Antibiotics are the only magic that exists. I laughed at fishmocks in the pet store. I shouldn't have. Amoxicillin is amoxicillin. When the pharmacy closed, the fish aisle became the ER. Know your dosage or die. I underestimated vitamin C. Scurvy isn't just for pirates. It causes your old scars to reopen. Literally, the collagen breaks down. I watched a childhood surgery scar split open because I didn't eat enough pine needles. Hygiene is healthcare. I stopped washing hands to save water. Then I got an eye infection from rubbing my face. Soap is worth more than bullets. You can't shoot a bacteria. Wash your hands, filth bag. Caffeine withdrawal is debilitating. I didn't think it mattered. But on day 3, the headache crippled me. I couldn't focus to scavenge. Wean yourself off now, or hoard instant coffee like it's heroin. Feet are your tires. I didn't change my socks. I got trench foot. It feels like your toes are rotting off, because they are. Dry socks are the most critical piece of gear you own. Change them or crawl. I wish I knew that first aid kits are mostly trash. Band-aids don't fix deep cuts. You need superglue and duct tape. I had to close a gash with crazy glue. It burned like hell, but it kept the sepsis out. Prescription meds run out. If you are on SSRIs or blood pressure meds, the clock is ticking. Withdrawal from antidepressants in a high-stress environment is a nightmare. The mental break happens before the physical one. Glasses break. I dropped mine. Tape held them together, but my depth perception was gone. If you can't see, you can't hunt or fight. Keep your old prescription pairs. Survival requires 20/20th vision. Earplugs are vital. Gunshots in enclosed spaces blow your eardrums. I fired once inside a hallway and was deaf for 2 days. I couldn't hear the looters approaching. Protect your senses. They are your radar. Thing number 7. Your mind is the enemy. I prepared for zombies. I didn't prepare for silence. The boredom is lethal. Without a job, your brain eats itself. I wish I knew that a deck of cards is a survival tool. Future orientation keeps you alive. The moment I stopped planning for next week and only focused on now, I got depressed. You need a project. Build a chair, dig a hole. Just do something to prove you exist. Solitude causes hallucinations. I started hearing voices in the wind. It's called the third man factor. Your brain invents a companion. Don't trust the voices, but don't be afraid of them. It's just your brain coping. I underestimated the power of totems. I carried a picture of my dog. It was the only thing that stopped me from quitting. You need an emotional anchor. Pure logic leads to suicide. You need irrational hope. Journaling saves your sanity. I wrote on receipts. It externalized the chaos. If you keep the trauma inside, it festers. Writing is the only therapy you will get. Become the historian of your own misery. The Stockdale paradox is real. The optimists died first. They said, we'll be saved by Christmas. Christmas came and went. They broke. You must accept the brutal reality while believing you will prevail in the end. Sleep deprivation makes you paranoid. I thought squirrels were snipers. You need 4 hours of anchor sleep. If you don't get it, you are a liability with a weapon. Sleep is a weapon maintenance cycle. Routine is armor. I woke up, washed, ate, worked, even if there was no work. The routine protected me from the void. If you let the days bleed together, you lose the will to live. Enforce structure on chaos. I wish I knew that fear is a calorie burner. Being afraid all day exhausts you. I had to learn tactical breathing. Box breathing saves energy. Panic is expensive. Calm is efficient. Nostalgia is poison. I spent hours thinking about air conditioning. It made the heat worse. You have to kill the past. You live in the now. The old world is a ghost story. Don't let the ghosts haunt you. Humor is the ultimate hack. If you can't laugh at the absurdity of eating cat food, you will break. Dark humor isn't rude. It's a coping mechanism. Laughing reduces cortisol. It's a biological necessity. I learned to be comfortably uncomfortable. Modern life made me soft. I had to reharden my mind. Cold is just information. Hunger is just a signal. You detach the feeling from the suffering. So, thing 6. The body rots without maintenance. Thing 7. The mind breaks without purpose. I fixed my teeth and my head, but I wasn't ready for the external threat, the one that smiles. The next section covers things 8 and 9. It's about people. I wish I knew that the nice neighbor was waiting for me to starve. Trust is the most dangerous thing you can carry. If you think you can survive alone, you're wrong. If you think you can trust a group, you're also wrong. The balance is impossible. Let's talk about the sociology of the end. Thing number 8. Your neighbor is not your friend. I wish I knew that proximity equals danger. The nice guy who borrowed my mower. He was the first one to kick in my door. Hunger deletes friendship. I made the mistake of sharing. I gave a can of beans to a starving family. Next day, 10 people were at my door. Charity is a signal flare. It tells the pack you have excess resources. Secrecy is the only armor. I talked too much. I bragged about my generator. When the lights went out, my house was the beacon. If they know what you have already lost it. I wish I knew that trade is a combat encounter. I met a guy to swap batteries for ammo. He brought friends. I barely escaped. Never trade alone. Never trade at home. Assume every deal is an ambush. The gray man applies socially to I looked too prepared. My tactical gear screamed prepper. I should have looked like a refugee. If you look like a victim, the predators ignore you for easier prey. I underestimated the power of rumors. Someone said I had antibiotics. I didn't, but people came looking anyway. Disinformation is vital. Spread rumors that you are sick and starving to stay safe. Thing number 9. Passive defense fails. I boarded up my windows. It just told people there is stuff inside. I should have left the windows broken and hid in the basement. Deception beats fortification. I wish I knew about light discipline. I lit a candle, it was like a lighthouse. A single photon in a blackout travels for miles. I learned to live in the dark. If you need light to pee, you die. Noise is a death sentence. My dog barked. Raiders heard it. Dogs are great for alarms, but terrible for stealth. I had to make a hard choice. Silence your environment or be found. I relied on locks. Locks keep honest people out. A hungry man with a sledgehammer doesn't care about your deadbolt. You need active defense. You need to be awake and armed, not just locked in. Sleep shifts are mandatory. I tried to sleep alone. I woke up with a stranger in my room. You cannot survive without a sentry. If you are solo, you must booby-trap your perimeter with noisemakers. I wish I knew that. Trash tells a story. I threw away food wrappers. Scavengers found them. They knew I was eating well. Burn your trash. Bury your waste. Leave no trace of your calories. Smells travel. I cooked bacon. The wind carried the scent for blocks. It was the dumbest thing I ever did. Eat cold food. Only cook during storms or deep underground. Smell discipline is real. I underestimated choke points. My house had one exit. When they came, I was trapped. Always have a plan B exit. A window, a hole in the fence. If you can't get out, your castle is a coffin. I trusted the code. I thought women and children were off limits. They aren't. Raiders use kids as scouts. I hesitated to threaten a kid, and he signaled his group. Total war means total war. Weapons require maintenance. My gun jammed because I didn't clean it. A dirty gun is a paperweight. I wish I had bought a cleaning kit instead of a second scope. Logistics win fights, not accessories. I wish I knew that ammo is currency, but dangerous to spend. Shooting attracts more trouble. The goal is deterrence. A pump shotgun sound is worth 100 rounds fired. Scare them off. Don't fight if you can help it. The lone wolf dies. I tried it. I couldn't watch 360 degrees. I got flanked. You need a tribe. Even if you hate them, you need eyes on the back of your head. Numbers are the only real security. Intimidation works. I looked weak. They tested me. Later, I put a skull on a spike. It sounds crazy, but it worked. You have to project crazy. People avoid crazy. Be the nightmare to avoid the nightmare. I underestimated the value of a dog as an alarm. Not an attack dog, a yapper. Big dogs eat too much. A small, angry terrier eats little and barks at everything. The ankle biter is the best sentry. Fire hygiene. At night, the flash of a lighter is visible. I learned to light cigarettes under a blanket. It seems small, but snipers look for the cherry. Don't give them a target. I wish I knew that mercy is expensive. I let a thief go. He came back with friends. It broke my heart, but I learned. In survival, there are no second chances. You solve the problem permanently. The psychology of the raid is risk versus reward. If you look like you have nothing, or look like you will fight to the death, they move on. Being a hard target is 90% of the battle. So, thing 8, neighbors are enemies. Thing 9, security is silence. I learned these lessons in blood. But the final lesson, thing number 10, it's the one that made me accept my fate. The last thing I wish I knew isn't about guns or beans. It's about time. And the lie we tell ourselves about when this is over. Because here is the spoiler. It's never over. Thing number 10, there is no after. I wish I knew that waiting for the world to go back to normal was killing me. I preserved food for the recovery. There is no recovery. This is the new baseline. Accept it. The temporary mindset made me lazy. I didn't plant a garden because the trucks will run soon. They didn't. If I had started planting on day 1, I wouldn't have starved on day 90. Be a producer, not a waiter. I wish I knew that skills outweigh gear. My expensive red dot sight broke. I didn't know how to use iron sights. I was useless. Gear is fragile, skills are weightless. Learn to weld, sew, and garden. Scavenging is finite. The cans run out. I realized too late that I needed to be a creator. Making charcoal, making soap, making arrows. The scavenger dies. The maker survives. Transition early. I underestimated seed saving. I planted hybrid seeds. They didn't reproduce. I had a great harvest once, then famine. You need heirloom seeds. Understanding genetics is more important than understanding ballistics. I wish I knew that books are kings. When the internet died, I lost all human knowledge. I would trade a crate of ammo for a book on primitive dentistry. Build a physical library now. Wikipedia won't be there. The rule of law is gone. I kept waiting for police. Then I realized I was the police, and the judge, and the executioner. That moral weight is heavy. You have to build a new code of ethics from scratch. Reproduction is a terrifying thought. Bringing a child into this world, but without it, we are just the last generation waiting to die. I wish I had thought about the legacy, not just the survival. I learned that boredom is the final boss. Surviving is boring. It's chopping wood and carrying water. If you need entertainment, you will go crazy. Find joy in the labor. Zen and the art of trench digging. I wish I knew that hope is a biological necessity. Not false hope, but purpose. I needed a reason to wake up. Repairing the radio became my religion. Find a mission, or the void takes you. Let's recap. 1. Don't freeze. 2. The store is a trap. 3. Water lies. 4. Fire fails. 5. The ground bites. These are the physical lessons. If you ignore them, nature composts you. 6. The body rots. 7. The mind breaks. 8. Neighbors are enemies. 9. Security is silence. These are the silent killers, the ones that get you when you think you're safe. And 10. There is no after. This is the hardest one. You have to grieve your old life. Cry for the AC, the internet, the safety, then bury it. You are a pioneer of the ash world now. I wish I knew these things. I wouldn't have lost my toes. I wouldn't have lost my brother. I wouldn't have lost my mind. Knowledge is the only thing that doesn't weigh anything in your pack. Don't be a Girado. Don't buy cool knives and skip the cardio. Don't buy a bunker and skip the community building. You can't buy survival. You have to become it. If you are watching this, you still have time. The lights are still on. The water is still running. You are living in the before. Do not waste it. Fill your bottles. Fix your teeth. Learn a knot. Take a hard look at your life. What are you dependent on? If it disappears tomorrow, do you die? If the answer is yes, you have work to do. Self-reliance is the only freedom left. This list isn't to scare you, it's to wake you up. The alarm is ringing. Stop hitting snooze. The nightmare is coming, and it doesn't care if you are ready. Be the person others rally around. Be the calm in the chaos. Be the one who knows how to filter the water. Leadership is the ultimate survival trait. I'm done screaming at you now. The rest is up to you. Go check your supplies. Go check your plan. And for God's sake, go check your feet. If this helped you, subscribe. We build the manual for the end of the world, one video at a time. Join the tribe. We are the ones who will write the history books. Remember, luck is just preparation, meeting opportunity. I ran out of luck. Make sure you don't run out of preparation. This is Sketchy Clips. I'm going to go boil some water. You should too. Stay sharp. Stay alive. Sound of wind howling. Screen fades to black.